Welcome to the OMG Talk podcast with Paul Finkelstein. Great advice and talk with small business owners, workaholics, and whiz-bang entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Paul Finkelstein.
All right, just heard the button. Welcome everybody to OMG Biz Cafe and OMG Biz Cafe Biz Leaders Toastmaster Club, or forming a Toastmaster Charter Club, a brand new club in the OMG Biz Cafe, where it's business leaders helping business leaders. So we have a packed agenda over here. I can't wait till Ron sets us up with an agenda that's typed in somewhere toward the top or somewhere where people actually read something instead of just in my hand here. But as your sergeant at arms, I'll be playing multiple roles in our demonstration meeting. If you've been at Toastmaster meeting, you'll recognize some of those roles. The sergeant at arms just starts off the meeting and they're in charge of all the tech and all the heavy lifting, so you could have a nice, easy meeting to be at. So that being said, usually the sergeant at arms welcomes everybody here to the OMG Biz Cafe and also introduces the word of the day with the word grammarian. And actually, for Adrian's sake, I did choose a word. I could share the screen while I'm recording too, right? Because I know it says sharing.
I don't know the answer to that.
Good question. Well, I was going to try to put the word on the screen. Let's see if I try to do that. It doesn't mess things up. If I share screen and put the word of the day up here, I think it's right over here, then you should see the word leaders is in the word leadership. So leaders is the word of the day. And now I'm going to stop sharing. And now you can see that today's word of the day is leaders. Now I'll ask the word grammarian officially if you could use the word of the day, Adrian, in a sentence, the word leaders, to help us use that in all of our speeches throughout this hour.
I certainly can. It's not up to just the management. It's up to all of us to be leaders for each other.
Well said. Thank you so much, Adrian Ticky in Delray Beach. And also, before you speak, maybe say where you're from as well, so we can get to know each other while we're having a meeting. It's good to have a little fun too. And now I will introduce, before I introduce the President Pro Tem, which is me, which is a temporary president until we have our official charter, and someone will be official president, whether it's me or Brian or somebody else. We'll let that stand as it is. If you all could help me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance, because Toastmasters was founded in October 22, 1924. Since October, it's 100 years old. And it was founded in Santa Clara, where Ralph Smedley founded the first Toastmaster Club, even though he started Toastmasters around 1905. I think it was a Bahamian chapter because it said Freeport, something like that. And I can only think of one Freeport location, and that's in the Bahamas, unless anybody knows of another Freeport location around the world or in Canada or US. And so some time went since 1905 to 1924. So in honor of Ralph Smedley, who started Toastmasters in the US and California, help me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. It looks like and we have a Marine in our presence too. So you can put your hand over your heart and say with me together, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice for all. Thank you so much, everybody.
Play ball!
Because if you don't have a major role, you have a major role, and your major role is applause master. You'll learn in Toastmasters meeting after Toastmasters meeting around 149 countries, there is a lot of applause. So you're now dedicated applause masters. I don't think I've ever heard that word yet since I've been in Toastmasters, but it is now. I just made it up today. You're all applause masters. And now we'll introduce the Toastmaster of the day, No surprise, it's me again, Paul Finkelstein. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our demonstration meeting for Biz Leaders Toastmasters in the OMG Cafe. I want you to know that I can't do this meeting by myself. I need helpers. And those helpers, to help me remember them, is the acronym TAG. And the first helper is timer. Adrian Ticky volunteered to be timer for today. And I trust maybe you have 3 different cards to help us know the differences in time. You don't have to say the number at the times right now, but just tell us what your duties are today.
Sure, Paul. I am in charge of keeping track of the time for like the speeches, the table topics. What the way that we do this in Toastmasters is when you hit the appropriate time, like if this table topics are a minute or 2 minutes, when you get to the amount of time that the minimum, I'll hold up the green. When you're have a little ways to go, then you'll get the yellow, and when you're finished, you get the red.
And then you'll have 30 seconds to wrap up. Thank you so much for telling us about the duties of timer. And then we also have, you'll recognize this person, Adrian Ticky, one more time. She's going to tell us her duties as counter. What are you going to do during the meeting for counter?
Oh, well, every time somebody says one of those filler words, like you said, like, so, and I'm going to go, so you know not to do that again.
Got it. Okay, and then the last helper role is also, you'll recognize her again. Adrian Ticky, come right up and tell us.
Nice to meet you all.
Word grammarian.
So the word of the day is leaders. That's right. I want to hear you use the word leaders, and I want you to use proper grammar. I don't want any dangling participles. No, we're going to have a cool meeting tonight.
Dangling participles. I haven't heard that word since I don't know where, maybe chemistry class. But be careful of your dangling participles. Okay, on that note, you're allowed to laugh. If you can't laugh, then, life is short. So I thank you. Everybody give applause masters. That's everybody. Give Adrian Ticky a round of applause. Give our Toastmaster of the day so far his duty round of applause. And the President Pro Tem a round of applause. And the Sergeant at Arms a round of applause. Thank you so much. You'll get your turn for applause too when you speak as well. So you should come here at omgtalk.com and speak as well. If we had the ability to stream live so you could hear this, that would be another great feature. Just saying to the gods of OMG Biz Cafe, powered by the Scholar Network. Okay. So as my duties in Toastmaster of the day, in charge of how the meeting goes here, my job is to let you know with our agenda, how a Toastmasters meeting is run. I think I said one of the filler words. I'm getting do it again one more time, the jewelry box clamping down on me. This is really great. Of the 3 parts of a Toastmaster meeting are A, table topics, B, prepared speeches, and C, evaluators. So those are the 3 parts of the agenda, 3 agenda parts. So those people that are in charge of getting to the software people to make an agenda that will go somewhere up here in our OMG Biz Cafe, make sure that the agenda fits somewhere for those 3 parts of our meeting. And also at the end of our meeting, when the general evaluator reports for finds out the reports, and the timer, counter, and grammarian, we'll know those reports at the end. And now it's my job to introduce the table topics master to head us up in the table topics session of our Toastmaster meeting. So I can't wait to hear all of you participate. And if you cannot participate and you don't want your video on the screen, then turn off your video during the part where I could potentially call you during table topics and we could see your pretty picture. But that being said, the way table topics works, it's not meant to stump anybody. It's meant to help us think better on our feet. One of my favorite 2 words is pivot and segue. And our speakers will get a chance to practice also, since we have a great crew here in our first demonstration meeting at OMG Biz Cafe. And so my favorite two words are pivot and segue, and the art of changing the topic without actually talking about the topic that was given to you. Practice, practice, practice makes perfect. Everybody can do that. With that being said, will the timer, Adrian, tell us how those timing parameters work for table topics at 1.5, and 2 minutes and 30 seconds to wrap up with your little gizmos and books and colors?
Sure. So when we do table topics, you have 2 minutes. 1 minute, sorry, 1 minute to 2 minutes to give your table topic. At 1 minute, I will hold up the green book. Green. Then at 1.5 minutes, I will hold up the yellow book. And at 2 minutes, I will hold up the red purse. And at 2.5 minutes, I will boot you off the stage.
And applause master. Everybody's applause master.
Oh, yeah. Applause.
Give her a round of applause for doing an excellent duties of timer. And now back to the table topics master. Hi, that's me. Hi, everybody. Now we are going to begin our table topics session. The timer is all set. All I have to do is call upon the subject, and then one of you lucky, I was going to say victims. I can't think of the right word. One of you lucky Toastmasters, most welcome guests. Here's another tip also that I have to add to our Toastmaster demonstration Toastmaster meeting is before you speak, it's great in customization, good etiquette. I said, I understand, is you should actually greet everybody in the room before you're going to speak. It also gives you a chance to formulate your speech. So you would say, Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and then you could begin. So Toastmasters, most welcome guests and business leaders, here's the first topic, and I will call upon you after I say this topic. So Paul's favorite book has the initials TAGR, Think and Grow Rich. Many of you know the author is Napoleon Hill. What is your favorite business book and why? And the time starts at the first utter of a word. So Paul's favorite book is TAGR, Think and Grow Rich. What business book is your favorite book and why? How about Brian?
Hello, everybody, Toastmasters and guests. My name is Brian Colburn, and I'm in Southern California. Reflecting on that question, I would have to say my favorite business book is actually a sales book, and it is titled The Little Red Book of Selling, written by an author that hails from South Carolina, Jeffrey Gitomer. You might have heard of. He also writes a newsletter called Sales Caffeine. And I was offered the opportunity to take a position as a sales rep for a company. And it was my first time in sales. And I read a lot of books and consumed a lot of audio to figure out what this new role entitled. And I found The Little Red Book of Selling. It was actually the 27th book that I consumed. And I wish it were the first because I would have stopped after it. It was so good in audio, I purchased the hardcover so I could mark up the pages, dog-ear it, put flags in it, because the information was so valuable. And I truly cherish this book, and I recommend it often. Because this one book that on 1.25 speed in the Audible app can be consumed on my drive to Vegas, which was the largest trade show we had every year. And it put me in the right mind frame to hit that floor and sell. And a 4.5-hour book changed my life. I was never in the rears. It was 100% commission only. I never went hungry. And it was one of the best sales books. And I read a lot of sales books by a lot of the greats. This one book really set me up for success, not only in that position, but moving forward, starting my own business when I left that 40-hour work week. and started my own business. So The Little Red Book of Selling by Jeffrey Gitomer. Thank you.
And applause master. All right. And then the red book from Adrian just comes on now. So it looks like you were just on time. I think that he's hustling us and he's a professional Toastmaster and didn't know it. And he just found out about Toastmasters this week. But I thought, what a great way to involve business leaders that are naturally Toastmasters. So number 2, I'm probably going to get the most so's here. All right. Number 2. Tell us a story how Google Maps got you lost instead of found. Tell us a story how Google Maps got you lost instead of found, Adrian Ticky. And if you could time and talk at the same time.
And hold up my signs?
Yes.
Yeah, well, sure. I don't like to use GPS software at all because I have a father that taught me how to read a map. It's one of those things that you fold up, or if you're really lucky, you can get the Rand McNally and you can, turn the pages. It goes all the way across here, and then you have to turn the page to see if you're going to turn right or left the next time. Because I've used GPS before, and I got to the location, and there was not anything there. It was new in the GPS world, but I got there and I was still lost. I still hadn't arrived at my destination. So I like to rely on old-fashioned fold-up maps that you can handily stash inside your bra in case you need to. It's handy, it's convenient, and that's why I don't like to use GPS.
And let's give her a round of applause, Adrian. And I forgot, this is a new platform, and I'm at an actual lectern. And had we been in person at a lectern, I would actually move myself into the audience over here and then back onto the lectern. And I'd like to see if we could try to mimic that here. And I'll remove myself from the lectern, and you could take my place as well, not just the images you see on the screen. So our next person to get to know in our table topic session, tell us about the last time you went to the beach. Tell us about the last time you went to the beach. Eric Goldstein.
All right, so I just came back from vacation in the Dominican Republic, so I would say I went to the beach about 2 weeks ago. I'm not as much of a beach person as I am a pool person, really more so a golf and activity person. So my wife is a big beach person, so I think the time I spend at a beach is a little bit more my compromise to spend time with her, so she'll let me go off and play my 5 to 6 hour rounds of golf and do the other things that I want to do. So it's kind of a make the wife happy type of thing, so I can do the things I want to do. So that's the last time. I think I've been at the beach 2-3 weeks ago at the Dominican Republic, and then we were in actually Jamaica 4 or 5 weeks before that. So 2 pretty decent vacation, 5 days in Dominican and 7 days in Jamaica.
And let's give Eric a round of applause. I think he made it to at least a 1 minute mark, which is the minimum time for a tabletop.
What is? I missed that. I'm sorry. So what? How long are we supposed to talk for? I didn't get that.
1 minute to 2 minutes. You almost got there. You got 50 seconds. We'll give it to you. We're good. We're nice to newcomers, Eric.
Oh, 1 minute at the green, and 1.5 at the yellow, and 2 minutes at the red, and 30 seconds to wrap up. On that being said, let's do another round here. Where are we? Yeah, we could do another quickie round. All right. How to cook grilled cheese. How to cook grilled cheese, Brian.
Brian already went.
I know. You get to go again. You're warming up today.
Toastmasters and guests. I love a great grilled cheese sandwich, and I go above and beyond. And it starts with real butter. I prefer sourdough because it holds up better than typical breads. But setting the cheese out well in advance so it can start to soften helps the melting process. Now, depending on what kind of mood I'm in, the cheeses will vary. A nice soft brie added at the very end. My mouth's watering right now, being dinner time here in Southern California. But the griddle has to be hot. And I butter the bread and I lightly dust it with garlic powder, not salt. And I place the bread down and I warm up the non-buttered side first, and then I put the buttered side down to start to get that char. But the warmed non-buttered side helps the cheese melt even faster. And if the cheese is evenly distributed over that warmed bread, when you place the other side of the sandwich on it, it just starts to adhere to that non-buttered bread. And just a light toast. I don't like burnt edges. A light, even toast across the bread is perfect. And then I love to cut it in half diagonally because that's the kid in me, and consumed with a wonderful glass of water so I can savor the cheeses I chose for the sandwich. Thank you.
And now, applause master. Everybody applaud for the wonderful table topic by Brian. Our next speaker, let's see. How to finish a marathon. How to finish a marathon. I'll call upon Paul Finkelstein. It's not completely an impromptu talk because I have all the table topics in front of me, but I just want to give you guys a flavor of another speaker that you didn't hear yet before that's in a speaker mode versus a facilitator mode. Has anybody here, by a show of hands, ever finished a marathon? Nobody? Just lonely old me? Has anybody here ever ran very fast to their mailbox because they couldn't wait to get a big check in the mail? Raise your hand. Okay, finally everybody's hand went up. Yay. Well, imagine if it was 26.2 miles to get to your mailbox to pick up that check. How long would it take you to get there, and would you still do it? So apparently having an award is probably a big incentive to do a marathon. And Paul's is no different. He saw somebody actually in a picture on social media going through a finish line, and there was a lady handing him a T-shirt and a medal. And some people, their only mission in life is to get a lot of T-shirts and medals that come with your marathon fee. I have a few of those. They're hanging up in the room next door. That was my replacement for the Marines or the military because I couldn't go into the military due to having scoliosis when I was younger. At age 18, everybody graduated high school, and I went to Our Lady of Mercy Hospital in the Bronx, New York, to have a full steel rod put into my back for scoliosis when it turned into over 40 degrees. And they said, it's fine, I don't need to walk like a little old lady when I'm younger. So my parents said, you're going to have that surgery. That being said, I did finish all 26.2 miles, and I did do it with a steel rod in my back. And that was my closest thing to any military training without having to handle anything dangerous other than me and 30,000 runners going at different speeds. I encourage all of you to try to do a marathon and see if you can get the marathon bug as well. All right, applause master. I deserve a little bit of applause too for finishing a marathon anyway, for that being said. All right, now our last one, maybe our second to last one. How to make pasta. How to make pasta, Adrian Ticky. Are you a cook?
Toastmasters and distinguished Toastmaster Paul and guests. Today, I'm going to start the timer first and tell you how to cook pasta. I'm not sure if any of you have ever heard of pasta before, but it's really high in carbohydrates and it puts like thunder thighs on you. So you got to do this in moderation, but I'm going to give you my biggest tips and tricks. The first thing you do is you get a pot. Usually those are in your cabinet or hanging up on a pot rack. You put water in there that you might want to heat up it from your um, water faucet. If you live in Florida, don't worry about it. It's already warm. It never gets cold. So you turn the burner on the stove, you turn one burner onto high, and you put that pot on the burner, and you let that sucker boil. And you let it boil. Oh, wrong one. You let it boil. um, and when it's al dente at about 5 to 6 minutes of boiling, that you put the pasta in. I forgot to tell you that. You got to put the pasta in the pot in the water, not on the side of the pot, but in the pot in the water. It boils 5 to 6 minutes al dente. Bellissimo. Thank you.
Spoken like a true Italian. Applause, master. Thank you. That's everybody. Awesome. And then here's our last table topic of the evening. I better pick a good one. Here it is. I tried to make them so simple, but maybe entertaining and some comical. So, how to wash your car. How to wash your car. Help me welcome Eric Goldstein.
I'm not a big fan of washing my car. I've got better things to do typically. So I use an alternative way of washing my car. I bribe my son to go out and do it for me. So he is wildly addicted to some of the video games, most noticeably Roblox and a few others. So I consider it to be kind of the crack of the 16, 17-year-old kids, actually the 12, 13-year-old kids. So when my kid is coming by and looking for $5, $10, $20 to put toward the virtual games that he's playing, he's pretty much willing to do anything. And we have found that he's very, very good at washing cars inside and out. So that has been the way my car has been washed the past 2 times. I have bribed him with, I think, $20 for the first one where he did inside and out, and he did a fantastic job. And they just did it recently. We're just outside. And I think that was a $10 Roblox business card. So for those that have kids, I highly recommend using the child labor of putting them to work, cleaning your car or scooping dog poop or whatever other random tasks that I'm really just too busy or not in the mood to do.
And that's what kids are for. Thank you, Applause Master. This will conclude our table topics portion. We have 2 more portions. The second is our prepared speeches, of which we're going to do 2 prepared speeches today and 2 evaluations, and then we'll wrap up our meeting. But at this point, you have to remember all those table topics we did. And if you could text me your favorite table topic speech to 561-302-0051, that's 561-302-0051, and text me your favorite table topics speech. And then I will announce that at the end of the meeting, the best table topic speaker and also our best evaluator. Well, actually, it won't be fair because that'll be me for all of them. But for the best table topic, please text me, and I will announce that at the end of the meeting. So now our prepared speeches. Let me bring back the meeting to our Toastmaster of the day. Hi, everybody. It's Paul Finkelstein. I'm back. And now it's going to get way better than this when we have a full club here and you get all acclimated where you could share on the roles for next week. You should be thinking about who's going to be the Toastmaster of the day and the table topic master. If you'd like to be table topic master, you could volunteer for that in our demonstration meetings in the next several Wednesdays. So for our first speaker of the night, our prepared speeches, where our Toastmasters to be and business leaders in this OMG Biz Cafe have been preparing this speech all their lives. Usually from week to week, you have about a week or so to prepare a speech if you go every week. But we know that the icebreaker speech is the first speech of all the leadership pathways in Toastmasters. And what better icebreaker speech than to talk about your service or job that you do? So I asked our contenders to volunteer to talk for 4 to 6 minutes. So 4 minutes the green, 5 the yellow, 6 the red. And our timer, Adrian, will now give us the timing parameters officially as timer for the prepared speeches.
Sure. Thank you, Toastmaster Paul. For the prepared speeches at 4 minutes, I will hold up the green book. And then at 5 minutes, I will hold up the yellow yellow for 5 minutes, and at 6 minutes, I will hold up the red purse. You have 30 seconds to get yourself off stage, and we will clap you off. Thank you.
Oh, close to clapping off. We won't give him the hook, but it's good to have a warning. Okay. So now our first speaker has been around the OMG Biz Cafe for quite some time. He also is an avid podcaster. He does podcasting for profession and for living and teaches people about podcasting. And he loves meeting all kinds of business owners. And he loves the beach. So that's why he's here. And he's going to be talking about how and why he does his business. And here's his title of his speech: My Business, My Service. My Service, My Business. Brian.
Thank you, Toastmasters and guests. I found myself on a Saturday morning walking into a very dimly lit room with one light shining down upon an altar. And that altar was in the middle of a Masonic lodge. And we were there to record the very first episode for the Lodge's podcast. See, to this point, I'd been a web developer. And back in the day, you needed a computer to transfer your podcast episodes or music to a portable player, the Zune by Microsoft or the new iPod by Apple. So being a web developer, they assumed I knew everything about podcasting. When the subject was first brought up, I quickly learned what I needed to learn to accomplish this for the lodge. We're going to fast forward to 2015 when I was asked to record guest lectures for a college classroom. And after many hours of debate, I owned 50% stake in a podcast entitled EM Weekly for the emergency management space. 4.5 years later, we exited that show, but we had the ear of FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which you all know well, living where you live. And the public information officer for the FEMA administrator would call us and say, the administrator has a new initiative. We would like time on your show to discuss it. And that's when we knew we had something great. Other people started asking me to help them start their shows. And in 2015, I opened Sitch Radio. I quit my 40-hour day job because helping people develop and tell story was awesome. I was able to learn from their guests, their host expertise. It was amazing who I was introduced to and was able to interact with. Podcasting is such a great medium for a couple of reasons. The voice of the host becomes a known entity in the listener's ear. They feel they know the host. And last year, we exceeded $2.5 billion in ad revenue across podcasts. So it's only growing and getting better. And I'm going to circle back to that. I have helped develop stories for the health benefits of consuming cacao to a somber episode where we had Will Jimeno. You might have heard that name. He was one of the 3 pulled alive from the rubble of 9/11. There was a movie made called World Trade Center, I believe. Nicolas Cage was in it. He was one of the individuals portrayed trapped. He was trapped for 36 hours. 3 people were pulled alive, 2 of them lived, and he was one of them. And to interact with him and hear that story firsthand was incredible. I did it myself. The fact that I help companies, individuals create a long form piece of content that then's turned into multiple pieces of micro content, which is awesome marketing to get your brand story, product knowledge, FAQ, customer's journey with your products out there across social media for next to nothing is just an incredible journey. When people pay to advertise on a podcast we've developed, we know we've got a great show. When that is just monetary validation that what we're creating is worth the time and the energy. The joy, the smiles that come to my host's face when they see the numbers. And in the beginning, it's little. Say an episode gets 600 downloads and they're like, oh, I was expecting more. And I remind them, imagine walking into an auditorium and there are 600 people sitting in chairs waiting to hear you speak. And that puts things into perspective for them. And that's when the smiles come. And it's a great journey for me. We serviced many companies, global brands to solopreneurs, and I've enjoyed every minute of this job since I opened it. But this one thing I really truly appreciate, that I have employees. I'm helping people make a living, doing something they enjoy doing, and pay their bills and exist as productive, earning people in this world. And that, to me, at the end of the day, puts a smile on my face. We all get to share in this journey of telling story. Thank you.
Give Brian a round of applause. All applause masters out there. Yay. I have a button that says applause on it. I wonder if it works. Can you? I don't hear anything. Okay. Guess it's not working. All right. Thank you, Brian, for being our first guinea pig and our first amazing speaker at OMG Biz Cafe. And now we have our second speaker. I can't sugarcoat this anymore. I just met Eric Goldstein today. But I think we were connected on another platform for a while. Or maybe just connected. I don't remember if we were connected already or we connected. And I noticed he was a photographer in my hometown, or just over the canal. I'm in Delray, but just over the canal is Boca Raton, and he's a local photographer. I'm sure you do weddings and bar mitzvahs and senior photography and all those good things and family portraits. But today we're going to hear Eric. Well, he's going to talk about just that, his business, service, and how and why he does his business. So my business, my service, my business, Eric Goldstein.
Hey, team. So for those that know me, or those that are just getting to know me, I've really been drawn to two things primarily my entire life: technology and visual storytelling. And this grew into something about 10 years ago called Cloud View Productions. It's a visual media company. We focus on aerial photography and videography, real estate, construction, events. It really spurred out of my love of drones. And I was asked to shoot houses and then shoot events. I like the gear, the process, the creative freedom, capturing things from perspectives that most people never get to see. So whether I'm flying a drone over a property or filming a promo video, it's all about using technology to tell a story that sticks. What I didn't see coming maybe a year ago was this whole interest in weddings and events. And I had bluntly avoided them for a while. I had been asked in the past. I did a couple for personal people. I avoided, honestly, from the whole bridezilla fear. I'd done some events, even some smaller weddings, but it wasn't really my lane. So I chose, especially with the way the real estate market has been slowing down, to step into it, start doing some more. And this experience really shifted how I thought about my work. So instead of tracking progress on a construction site or showcasing a property's best features, I was capturing something human, so something emotional, or something where the look on a groom's face, or we first sees his bride, a parent hugging their child. These are kind of the unscripted moments where, honestly, where when I'm shooting real estate, I shoot one picture. When I'm shooting photography at a wedding, I'm leaning on my shutter. I'm taking 10, 15. I'll shoot 3,000 images at a wedding to get 200 to 300 that I like. So that is really what it's all about, is being present enough to notice what matters and incorporate that into the stories that I'm trying to tell. So when I finally deliver that gallery, the couple that I worked with replied immediately. It was emotional, it was overwhelmed, it was thankful, and that response was different, and it pushed me, and that's where I decided to expand. I went from only doing cloud view productions. I rolled out a new brand called Eric Goldstein Photography. It brought everything that I learned from the technical side, the workflow side, the creative eye, and I've been applying it to something more personal. So weddings, events, family moments. It's where my commercial background meets real human connection. So I still run CloudView production. I still partner with realtors, builders, developers, business leaders who need sharp, polished marketing visuals. That's not going to change. I'm just switching lanes or switching lenses to a certain degree. I'm widening the road. I think I've just found a deeper passion. Weddings and events let me tell stories that are raw. They're joyful, they're meaningful. It's the work that has newly inspired me. And I think that's what great leaders are looking for, is impact that lasts. So that's it. That's who I'm looking to cat with. Hopefully that gave you a little view into who I am.
Thank you very much, Eric Goldstein, Applause Master. And that's our second speech. And that concludes our second part of our meeting, prepared speeches. And thank you guys also, some of you preparing those speeches in short notice to actually give the speech. But in essence, a business owner or business leader has been living their passion and their business for years, unless you just started your business last week, which I doubt that our previous speakers just started their business last week. Maybe as a little quickie question for both of our speakers, Brian, tell us, how long have you been actually delivering your business? For many years, or you started last week?
My business?
Yes, you've been doing it for some time, over 10 years, 5 years, 20 years.
2015 is when we opened the doors and I quit my 40. So
okay, so more than 10 years.
10 years.
Just about. And also for Eric, how long have you been doing your business?
So photography has honestly been sort of a side hustle for me for a while. I've been doing it for probably 11, 12 years now, but I've been doing the technology and photography for most of my life, just commercially and professionally, probably the last 12 years. I've been working in marketing, product management, project management for close to 30. So the goal at some point is to take what I'm doing as a weekend, day a week side hustle and eventually turn it into a full-time gig if it makes sense.
And then my last question for you guys before we wrap up and go into our general evaluator session. Brian, if you could tell us, you had any moments where your customer or client had a very emotional crying moment. I think I heard like 9/11 in there somewhere. Or is anything like really touching that made the difference on why you really do what you do for your customers, or your customer felt really touched from you?
You know, I have several. And I'd like to share this short piece. We produced a show on Sjogren's syndrome, which is an autoimmune that affects 4 million Americans, 80% of which are female. And it attacks moisture-producing glands in the body and can lead, if untreated, to complete organ failure. So we did a show with a nurse who is a labor and delivery nurse studying her master's for nurse practitioner. And we discussed Sjogren's and the effect Sjogren's has on the body to someone thinking about or starting a family, and pregnancy, and how the chronic illness affects pregnancy, labor, and delivery. A few months later, we received a direct message on Instagram saying, I've researched the internet. I couldn't find a lot of information. I am so fortunate I found that episode. It gave me the motivation to try and start a family. And I would like to share with you this image of my fetus. It's the first ultrasound. 6 months later, we received pictures of the newborn baby laying across her chest. And it was because we did an episode talking about what challenged her in life that gave her the confidence to attempt to bring life into this world. I've had moments where people were crying in the studio, but that one moment, that this episode, this piece of audio affected life and brought life into this world, holds so much meaning to me. I'm the host of that show.
Thank you for sharing that. I just wanted to give us a chance to get to know the speakers a little bit here in our hour, really pack up the meeting. And then Eric, the same thing, I bet the wedding photography especially, but if there's something in the drones or other work that is extra emotional and touching that, is priceless and people don't think about anything but just writing the fee that it costs because what you gave them was just priceless. Any emotional things come to mind that stands out from a recent customer?
I had a person who couldn't sell their house because the realtor was being too cheap and using pictures off of their iPhone camera. And I took the pictures with my camera and the house sold in 3 days. I would think they were pretty happy then. I don't know if they cried emotionally, but they were pretty damn happy. So that, again, obviously the wedding side, and I'm relatively new to it. I think the interesting thing for me, and again, has been the immediate feedback that I get both from the people that I shoot for. And interestingly, I've been networking a lot with wedding planners. So having wedding planners come back to me and tell me that I'm responsive, I'm easy to work with, I'm willing to kind of go the extra mile. Honestly, when I started, I was doing stuff for free just to kind of build my portfolio and start learning my skills so I could do it more effectively. So that resonated very well. I think it's setting me up for ongoing success with 3-4 of the wedding planners that I'm hoping to start doing more, obviously paid shoots for downstream. It's also nice. Obviously, I really enjoy when I'm walking around shooting families and I shoot a mother and their kid or a couple, and I take a picture and they ask me to show the picture and they're like, "Can I buy that picture from you right now?" I'm like, "Oh God, it's coming. You'll get it." So I don't know if I've had somebody break down and cry for me from the picture, but there's definitely been people, as good as the iPhones are and the cameras are that people carry, there's still a lot of people that think that they can just, well, why bother hiring a photographer when people could just run around with iPhones? And then they see what a person with a good camera, with a good lens, with some good editing can do. And people are like, all right, that's why people pay thousands of dollars for a camera. So our
And maybe also your eyes too, the eye of a professional photographer. You have this artistic sense like an interior designer has.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, give Eric a round of applause, applause master, and Brian as well for answering a couple of questions so we could all get to know them as we are forming our charter Toastmasters Club at OMG Biz Cafe. We move into our third portion of the meeting and to end our night with the evaluations usually run by the general evaluator. Haha, I'm here. I'm your general evaluator for the day. Usually that's another person, another Toastmaster, another guest here in our club, the general evaluator, and that person's in charge of evaluating the whole meeting overall as it is. I should say, like, as a round robin, so far to help me on how our meeting is going so far. Adrian, what do you think so far? Anything to improve? Anything that's going really well that you liked for our future guests?
I think I liked the personal stories the best and getting to know the people behind the faces. That's going to be really an integral part of this Leaders Toastmasters charter group.
I think you honed in on too that that a perfect speech does have an element of a personal story. It just makes it that much more impactful. Brian, what do you think so far for the format and how a Toastmaster? This is your very first Toastmaster meeting and online, nonetheless, on a beach. How are we doing so far? You're on mute, by the way.
I enjoyed it very much. I'm the type of individual who tries to find stress. I thrive under stress. So anytime a little bit of nervousness hits, I get an internal smile on my heart. I enjoyed this, and I look forward to many more to come.
And Eric, any 2 cents you have there? What do you think so far, just as an observer, having a Toastmaster meeting on a beach setting, not on Zoom, but more character and in a community that business owners could be part of?
I mean, I honestly went into this not knowing what to expect. I'm more looking for networking than Toastmaster. I did a Toastmasters session, I would say 25, 27 years ago.
Yes.
When I came out of engineering school. And honestly, I was a little bit more of a a techno geek than a speaker and more of a little less of a leader. I think my sales skills and my comfortability with speaking in front of you is day and night from where I was 25 years ago. So it's been a little interesting to me only because all my sales training is talk less, ask more questions. So it's interesting to find ways to make speeches and talk go longer where I have been taught to talk less. So I think that's kind of the interesting walk away.
Yeah, right. Having a Toastmaster meeting in a business setting, especially online. I know business people are super busy, so having it this way saves us the travel and the gas and all that, and still be by the beach at nighttime over here. Although the only person here that probably has daytime is Brian on the West Coast. But thank you guys for chiming in a little bit. I'm loving it. I love the Scholar Network that we're building the OMG Biz Cafe on. And during the day, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock, we do the networking component. If you're not rushed after we do a couple of evaluations from the speakers to end out our meeting, we could do a little quickie one-to-one so that Eric can get a flavor for how our one-to-ones work here in the cafe. But so the general evaluation of the speeches, we usually like to make all the speakers and walk away on a high note and have their speeches evaluated on a high note and then leave them with one tip in the middle, kind of like an Oreo cookie, the sandwich method of evaluations where you start on a couple of high notes. So for instance, when Brian was delivering his speech, and by the way, Adrian, so we're like official, the evaluations are, I believe, 2 minutes, and then 2.5 minutes the yellow and 3 minutes the red and 30 seconds to wrap up. So you want to tell people the parameters for evaluations for future meetings?
Sure. So for the general evaluator, they will have between 2 and 4 minutes, right?
It'll be 2 to 3 minutes. 2
to 3 minutes. So at 2 minutes, I'll hold up the green book.
Correct.
At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I'll hold up the yellow book. And when you're finished after that, if you don't get up the stage, I'm going to hold this up and say you got 30 seconds left.
Right. 2, 2.5, and 3. Thank you so much, Adrian. Give her a round of applause. All right. Awesome. So fellow Toastmasters to be, fellow Toastmasters from prior, business leaders, entrepreneurs, workaholic professionals, and most welcome guests. So our first speaker was Brian in these first 2 minutes. I'll try to keep it to that. Brian he's an experienced business leader. You would think, oh, it's perfect. You probably enjoyed him. He was a Marine. He knows how to keep things organized. He actually has better lighting than most podcasters do. I just have 2 beach towels and one desk lamp on me. His setting is just such perfect lighting. He's centered on the screen. He knows the size of his audience, his stage. And he has this even tone when he speaks. He even looks directly into the camera. I heard from Toastmasters that 55% of a speech is nonverbal, meaning eye contact is a big part of the nonverbal. Maybe gestures if he did hold up his hands a bit on the screen and they didn't fly off the screen like this doing a gesture. And then 38% is tone of voice and how he made us feel. And he was very calming, like you could listen to him to read a Kindle book for 3 hours and we'd be there listening to Brian going on the journey on the hike into Afghanistan or something. That's not the first place I want to go with Brian. Maybe it's the Bahamas and giving us a tour of the natives or something and how they make baskets. Might be a little safer. But that being said, Brian was great throughout, and I can see him being a great storyteller. If I insert maybe one little tip to improve Brian, I know that either beginning speakers in a Toastmaster setting or if you were doing a keynote speech, I'm talking kind of fast myself. Maybe you came from somewhere in the Northeast, or maybe you're just getting as many words as you possibly can in your talk. Sometimes to hold the element of suspense by adding a pregnant pause somewhere will make the audience wonder what you're going to say next. I was trying so hard to leave a pause there. That being said, though, I can't wait to see your next, dare I say 50 speeches. I'll just say your next speech is going to be every speech you're better and better. So thank you, Brian, for presenting here. The 7%, by the way, 55% nonverbal, 38% tone of voice, 7%, believe it or not, is content. It's like not even in delivering your speech in Toastmasters, or even a good evaluator role is great to be a manager, a good manager at a company. So that every week when you're doing those performance reviews, you leave your employees wanting to come back so you can keep paying them, but they'll perform better for you with the evaluation, the sandwich method or the Oreo cookie method. So I can't wait to hear your next speech, Brian. Good job. Round of applause. And then Eric, I think he disappeared. He won't get to hear this, but I'm recording it, so I'm going to make sure I give him a copy of this. So, I mean, Eric, I'm glad he was able to present to us. I want to leave on a high note as well and start on a high note. He was a photographer. I met him on another platform. I told him to come here. He said he was a prior Toastmaster, and he right away took the initiative and agreed to come here and present and be our icebreaker speech. So I commend him for that, and he's a go-getter just by signing up and being loyal and committed. And how many business people do you make an appointment and then do you ever have no shows, or is it just me? Or am I not like confirming my appointments enough? Or do people naturally just not show up sometimes? It can't be just me. Sometimes it just happened to other people as well. That being said, though, Eric came, he delivered a speech, he stuck within the parameters, he went to Toastmasters, he knows the drill, and the power of telling a story is a lot different than your typical elevator speech. So the fact that I think he was more memorable when he told us about everything put into stories. I think that there's one tip that I would love for Eric when he comes back, or if he comes back, or when he's meeting on appointments on Zoom, is to just look at your camera framing. And if you see that your chin is cut off at the bottom, it didn't bother me. But, I think next time I'd love to see people center themselves more in the frame. These evaluations are actually not just for the speaker. Maybe you're thinking of yourself, the way you present yourself, and making sure that you're, I'm by my microphone off to the side, and does it matter that I'm not completely centered? Maybe I also need one of those booms that Brian is using, so I could actually be more over here, but then I would fall over. So I'm making do for the space that I'm working with. So thank you so much, Eric, for coming here as well and giving your speech. And he was just as entertaining. He had good lighting. He had to be because he's a photographer. And also thank him for speaking. I don't even see, with multitasking, Adrian holding up all those yellow and green and red beautiful books. Did I pass all of them?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, how much late am I? Okay.
You're 4 minutes and 36 seconds.
Okay, my bad. All right, so that is the last portion of our meeting evaluations. And now, at this point, if there was 3 speakers, generally we'll try to have 3 speakers as we progress through the weeks. Then we will vote for the best evaluator, and the best evaluator will also get a ribbon, either mailed to them or digitally, where we could make them a nice, beautiful ribbon in Canvas so that they're appreciated. And also here's actually a real from Toastmasters. I just ripped it down from above my desk. This one here says best table topics, and they have one for evaluator. I have a whole collection of these from my 7 years in Toastmasters, shared between my wife and I going. So it definitely gives you so much practice. I recommend everybody. Ron, I can't wait to see you. Jump in when you're ready as well. Thanks for listening, though, to the entire Toastmaster meeting, because of the fact that the listening skills are so important. And if I had to give an evaluation for Ron today as a listener in our meeting, I mean, look at him. He gives us attention all throughout the Scholar Network and OMG Biz Cafe, and he listens to us business owners and what we want in a network, and he wants us to succeed, so he's to succeed. So I think there's a quote that Zig Ziglar said, that if you help enough people get what they want, then you'll get what you want. And I think that Ron's doing that by being an amazing listener without even delivering one speech. He's given a speech just through his eyes. So I evaluated somebody who didn't even speak today. So how's that? All right. And now I will bring back up the general evaluator is now bringing back up the Toastmaster of the day. And thank you, general evaluator. Everybody claps for him. And then the Toastmaster of the day will give the awards for best table topic and best evaluator. We won't do best evaluator because I was everything for that, giving myself lots of practice to multitask. I recommend it too, because it'll give you extra practice for running meetings if you have to do all of those things. If we had an agenda tied to the Scholar Network, that would be my wish list. Right, Adrian? Say yes or yes. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Toastmaster of the day would now give out those awards, and drum roll please. The best table topic of the evening goes to Brian. Yay, Brian is our best table topic master. He started off as well, and then we all got a chance to do a couple extra practice with table topics. So thank you, Brian. You get the first table topic award. Everybody texted me their answers, and it was just unanimous. Brian is our number one table topic for today. Now I'll bring back up the president to wrap up our meeting. The President Pro Tem. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Finkelstein. I'm your President Pro Tem. Oh, are you tired of seeing me yet already? You're ready to go recruit another person to be in our Biz Leader Toastmasters? Say yes or yes. Thank you so much for being here. I'm the President Pro Tem, and we usually discuss now. At this point, the president will ask people for the roles for next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time in the Online Cafe Business Leader Toastmaster Club. So if somebody would like to volunteer to be Toastmaster of the day, that person's job is to ask the people here who would like to be table topic master. And I guess among the three of us or the two of us, if Ron's ready or not. So two of us or myself and Brian and Adrian, he's busy pushing code. So the three of us could take on the three roles of general evaluator, table topic master, and what is it here already? Did I say one?
Grammarian.
Toastmaster. Oh, you know what? The general evaluator. I have to go backwards now. The first meeting, guess what? We have to hear this person. We have to insert this in right away as general evaluator. I'll put in my general evaluator hat. I have to call upon Adrian Ticky to give us the three reports for timer, counter, and word grammarian. How many people use the word of the day leaders? Hopefully besides yourself. I just said it again. So before you get to go, it's always good to be the general evaluator, because when you're looking right at the word grammarian, you're the last man standing. So you are all leaders. Thank God it's been said beside the word grammarian. So now, Adrian, give us the full reports for how often the word was said, our timing reports for our speakers, the table topic reports that everybody go over or not, and also the counter. How do we do there? Was Paul like saying a million ahs and he's a distinguished Toastmaster? Terrible. Go ahead, Adrian.
So as the grammarian, my job is to keep track of how many times people use the word of the day, and also to notice if anyone used any dangling participles or too pregnant of a pause. That being said, Paul just now, before he announced I was coming up, he had one use of the word leaders, and now I think he's got as many ahs as he said, which was 36 for the whole meeting. Oh no, those weren't all Paul. Some of those were Eric. But Eric did use the word leaders twice, and I used it once. Everybody else did not use it or didn't speak. The timer for the table topics, Brian spoke for 2 minutes and 13 seconds, and then he spoke for 1 minute and 45 seconds, completing his commitment. Eric spoke for 50 seconds, about 10 seconds short, but he's new. We'll give him a break. He was speaking very fast. I went for 1 minute and 10 seconds, just barely getting under that line, which I love. Paul went for 2 minutes and 1 second. My second time, I give you guys an extra 17 minutes. It was 1 minute 27. And Eric ended up his second table topics a little bit better at 1 minute and 9 seconds. Paul went on and on and on about the evaluations. I lost track after about 6 minutes and 20 seconds. But Brian did his speech in 5 minutes and 27 seconds, completing that requirement. And Eric was just short at 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you for that report. A round of applause. Applause Master is a new role that Paul just invented today. Thank you, for that thorough. Am I still sharing the screen?
No.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
I thought it was for the recording, and I don't know if I stop it, if it'll stop the recording. But on that note, we are at the tail end of our meeting. The president now adjourns the meeting, and we will see everybody next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for a new round of speakers and a new round of education as we have more charter members to form our club officially in the OMG Biz Cafe. Thank you guys all for attending.
Yay!
Nice. Strong work, Paul.
Paul and Sarah, the real couple that cares about your Medicare, says that Tony from trcvoiceovers.com is awesome. If you want the best voice on the planet for any Audible project, don't hesitate to reach out to him at tony@trcvoiceovers.com.